It's time for an update on some previous stories you've heard on Plain English. Hey there, it's Jeff, and this is Plain English. This is the best English learning podcast for you if you like learning with stories about current events and trending topics. And we talk about a lot of stories here: news, movies, fashion, music, science even. And sometimes, as I go through my day, I see news about topics that we've talked about before, and I want to share them with you. So twice a year, we break our normal rhythm, and I share updates on previous stories. But this month, I have a lot of updates. For whatever reason, there are just a lot of stories that I want to update you on. So we'll do updates today and on Thursday. So this will be 2 episodes in which you learn the latest about stories you've probably already heard. And then next week, we'll get back to some new topics. This is episode number 768, and the transcript is extra valuable on these update episodes because that's where I put the links to the original stories. So if you missed the original episode, you can follow the links and hear those first stories. It's all in the transcript at plainenglish.com/768 or click the link in your podcast player. Listen up if you speak Spanish, Portuguese, Chinese, German, French, Italian, Japanese, Polish, or Turkish. One of the most frustrating things about listening and reading in a second language is being confused by unfamiliar words or phrases. When you listen to Plain English, or when you read the transcript, you probably encounter some words you don't know. When that happens, you have a few options. You can stop the audio, go look up the definition, then return to the episode, find your place, and press play again, but that's exhausting. Or you can just skip it and be confused. That's no fun either. But what if you could see the translation of the word into your language instantly without having to stop the audio, without having to look anything up? Well, you can at plainenglish.com. For each episode, we translate about 100 words and phrases from English to 9 languages: Spanish, Portuguese, Chinese, German, French, Italian, Japanese, Polish, and Turkish. And we highlight those words in blue. All you have to do is hover your mouse over the highlighted word, and you'll see the translation instantly. It works great on mobile too. It really makes listening a lot more satisfying, and it's a great way to expand your vocabulary in English. The best way to see these translations is to sign up for a free 14-day trial at plainenglish.com. During your trial, you can read as many transcripts as you like, all with the translations into your language. So sign up for your free trial today at plainenglish.com. Before we start today's story, I'd just like to remind you that the podcast is just one part of how we can help you upgrade your English skills. At plainenglish.com, you can make faster progress with active learning strategies. You can take quizzes, do activities, listen to the fast version of the audio, watch video workshops, practice what you learn, and even join a live call with JR and me. It's all about helping you build your skills to become a better, more confident English speaker. Sound good? Go to plainenglish.com to start your free 14-day trial today. Now, let's jump into today's story. In episode 710, you learned about Suni Williams and Barry Wilmore. They were two astronauts who went to the International Space Station on June 5th, 2024, expecting just an 8-day mission. But their spacecraft suffered problems with the thrusters. Those provide power and help steer. They successfully docked at the space station, but Williams and Wilmore could not come back in the vehicle they went up in. Instead, they had to wait several months and catch a ride home on another space mission, this one from SpaceX. They were scheduled to come home in February 2025, but that was delayed yet another month until March. But they did come back. They finally returned to Earth in a capsule that splashed down in the Gulf of Mexico on March 18th. What was supposed to be an 8-day mission turned into 9 months away from Earth. Yikes. 2 weeks after their arrival, the two astronauts spoke in detail about the problems they encountered on their outbound trip to the space station. Wilmore said he and Williams had lost all control of the capsule while attempting to dock. They were floating in space and did not have the control they needed to dock at the space station. They thought they would never make it back to Earth. Luckily, NASA engineers were able to reset some of the malfunctioning thrusters remotely. Wilmore said he did a happy dance when they connected to the space station. In episode 624, you learned how the newest generation of running shoes is helping runners break records faster. That episode came out in November 2023, just weeks after both the men's and women's marathon records were broken. The newest generation of multi-layered bouncy shoes helps absorb energy as runners' feet hit the surface, and their curved shape helps return some of the energy in forward motion. That's part of the reason why so many running records are falling. Since that episode came out, world running records continue to fall. The women's marathon has been broken twice, in April 2024 and again in October 2024. And records for shorter distances are falling too. In just 9 days this year, 2025, 7 track and field world records were broken. In February 2025, American Yared Nuguse set a new world record for the indoor mile at 3 minutes, 46.633 seconds. He got to enjoy holding the world record for 5 days. Then, Norwegian Jakob Ingebrigtsen shaved more than a second off that time, and he became the new world record holder for the indoor mile. American Grant Fisher broke the world record for the indoor 5,000 meters. But new shoes are not the only innovation in track and field. Many runners are taking sodium bicarbonate, otherwise known as baking soda. One analyst estimated 2/3 of all runners at the Paris Olympics were taking baking soda. In episode 406, you learned that El Salvador, a small Central American country, became the first country in the world to make a cryptocurrency legal tender. Every business in El Salvador was required to accept Bitcoin. All official payments could be made in Bitcoin. That meant taxes, wages, loans, bill payments, anything. El Salvador's popular president hoped that this would jumpstart a crypto tourism and investment wave. He also promised that crypto payments would help bring more citizens into the formal banking sector, since more than half of adults didn't have a bank account when the law was passed. Like many Latin American countries, El Salvador receives a lot of remittances from workers in the U.S., but international money transfer is expensive, so crypto transfers could make it instant and free. But the country's adoption of Bitcoin never lived up to the president's promises. El Salvador's normal currency is the US dollar, a stable currency. Consumers like paying with cash. They even like receiving remittances in cash despite the extra cost. Only about 5% of people paid their taxes in Bitcoin. About 80% of businesses never accepted Bitcoin, even though it was required. The government's digital wallet was buggy. Identity theft was common. The expected investments in crypto tourism and crypto investment didn't materialize. In the end, most citizens thought it was a joke. Early this year, El Salvador accepted a $1.4 billion bailout loan from the International Monetary Fund. In exchange for the bailout, the country agreed to drop Bitcoin as legal tender. El Salvador's Bitcoin experiment was announced with much fanfare, but its cancellation came quietly. Remember this from episode 614? After the Spanish women's team won the World Cup in 2023, the boss of the Spanish Football Federation, Luis Rubiales, kissed one of the players on the lips during the on-field trophy ceremony after the game. The player, Jenny Hermoso, said that she had not consented to the kiss and said that it stained what should have been one of the happiest days of her life. Rubiales claimed the kiss on the mouth was just an act of affection. In February 2025, a Spanish court ordered Rubiales to pay a €10,800 fine and prohibited him from going near Jenny Hermoso or communicating with her for 1 year. Prosecutors are pushing for a retrial, saying the punishment was not severe enough. In episode 655, you learned about the upside-down logic of the U.S. penny. It costs the government way more than 1 cent to manufacture each 1 cent coin. Most Americans don't use pennies, or worse, find them to be an annoyance. Donald Trump has ordered the U.S. Mint to stop producing them. Technically, he doesn't have the authority to change U.S. currency without an act of Congress, but he does oversee the Mint, the agency that makes the coins. So for now, the penny is on pause. A couple of quick ones for you. Last December, in episode 736, we talked about romance novels. I had read some romance novels, but I didn't realize they were romance books when I read them. One of the most popular writers of modern romance books is Emily Henry. I read a book of hers. It's called Funny Story. I liked it. It was good, light fun. It had a funny premise, and it was an easy read. In episode 615, you learned about kidfluencers, the kids who make big money as YouTube and Instagram influencers. If that episode caught your attention, you might like the new Netflix series called Bad Influence, which takes you behind the scenes of a popular set of child influencers. That's all for this episode. We'll continue this on Thursday. I have a lot of good updates for you this time, including a really surprising update that relates to 2 of our recent episodes. When I saw this news, my jaw just dropped. So I'm going to share that with you on Thursday. This was episode number 768, and as I do in all of our updates, I talked about a lot of previous episodes, and I put links to them all in the transcript. So if you want to go back and listen to the original story, the one about the penny, maybe read about the astronauts stranded in space, that was a good one. If you want to read about any of these, open the transcript of this episode and you'll find the links. That's at plainenglish.com/768. And that is all for us today. We'll be back on Thursday with some more updates. See you then.